If you don't know my name, I bet you won't forget. I never lose no weight. All you gotta do is leave me up to me.
I'm really excited to be joined in studio, live and direct, with Matt Lara and Jaden Millar. You may know them as the production team OH1. Thanks for coming in, guys. Thanks for bringing all this tech. Jeez.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're stoked to be here.
It's our second home.
Obviously, here at Silo, we were about not only making great music, but music that is fit for purpose in terms of getting it into placements in trailers and in show and TV, video games, all that stuff. Do you guys have a memory of hearing or seeing a sync, whether it was in a trailer or watching a TV show that used a song and being like, man, I want to do that, or I want to make a song that lands in a trailer for The Equalizer or something like that, some action movie? Or is it just more like...
You take this one. We're going to start off.
I mean, trailers to me were always like I never knew it was like a thing, I guess. I kind of always thought like, oh, whoever's making the movie is, whoever's composing for the film is composing for the trailer. It's like they go hand in hand.
I think that's common. I had the same thing before I got into the industry.
No idea that it was like its own little niche thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of did like, I think we started getting into like the little brands. Like we did like a little Cheerios thing and like a Coca-Cola thing. And I think that was kind of like an introduction to like making music for picture in a way. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't think for me personally, I think once we started doing it, that like opened my eyes. And I really started to, listen to all the sounds and the sound design and all the like little pieces that make it all up. But I don't know. Was there anything for you that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just watching movies and being inspired by their soundtracks and like having the background in like drum corps and stuff. I've always had a passion for that style of music, like heavy duty music with big drums and like heavy melodies and big string parts. So it just kind of was easy for me to get into trailer stuff because I've always been a fan of big music.
I don't want to suggest that you guys only are one-trick ponies, but you guys do hip-hop real well. What kind of stuff were you listening to growing up that, in terms of your own hip-hop influences?
I mean, I've listened to so many different artists as far as hip-hop goes, but like my number ones are my top 5, I guess. Jay-Z, I love Eminem. Pretty much everybody that was at the halftime show this year too. I'm a big fan of like all hip hop. Really, I just love a banging beat and a good like rhythm in the cadence. So that's why hip hop's so cool to me. It's just that exactly. So
I'm from the South.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I grew up listening to hip hop and chopped and screwed music and turntablism. Like that was just everywhere, all over the place.
It's huge.
So yeah, I think just being in the environment of always hearing beats and watching like turntablists like flip records and stuff has just kind of been definitely an influence.
Mm-hmm. The New Standards EPs that we put out over the last few years, jazz reimaginations done in a trailer style. You guys have a track on each of our 3 EPs. You've landed 2 of your 3. We've gotten a bunch of quote requests on the 3rd one, so hopefully that'll land. But talk to me about what you guys, after you got off the phone with me, and I told you this crazy idea about reimagining like Sing, Sing, Sing with your guys' hip-hop influence and on a trailer style, and then eventually In the Mood, which, that was the first one I think that landed in that Netflix show Hollywood. It was the trailer. I mean, it went from front to back. It was the whole thing. Yeah. So tell me what you guys were thinking when I was like, let's do trailer jazz.
I mean, I think I can speak for us both. We were both like, this is going to be difficult, But then, like, as soon as I started, like, singing the melody in my head and, like, trying to figure out, like, how we could flip it, it was, like, more, okay, this is not going to be so difficult. And it flipped easy into, we can put these grooves behind it and it changes the vibe altogether. And it ended up being a lot easier than I think either of us thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think...
as far as coming up with the ideas.
Yeah, I think the first one we thought it was a remix.
Oh, that's right.
The first member, so
Right.
we ended up remixing it.
And then I was like, you got to strip
Then
out
you
the
got to
master.
take all the master out. By taking the remixed approach, we ended up, like dropping the track in a sampler and chopping it up. So then when we went back and did our own thing and like recorded all the horns all over again, we bounced them down to a 2-track and then put them in the sampler and chopped them up like we were doing a remix. And
Yeah, it wouldn't
think-
come out the same.
yeah,
if we
it wouldn't
do it that
have.
way.
We wouldn't have done that if we didn't take it from a remix approach the first time.
You guys have done remixes of T.I., you've done remixes of M.O.P. I mean, you did a remix of a merengue track by Elvis Crespo called Suavemente.
And that was a fun one.
Yeah.
I didn't really know the song. I only really heard it because my wife plays it all the time. So I didn't really know the song very much. But again, that kind of same approach of like sample flipping. And I think that's lately where we've been really like getting a lot of inspiration from, is just like taking something that's there and flipping it and turning it into something new and but still keeping like the original roots. Like you don't want all that to go away. I think it's important that
We like to keep a bit of it.
yeah, you got
every
it. You
time.
want to know what it is. You want to like taste it a little bit and then go into something where you're just like, whoa, what just happened? Like,
I always feel that that's part of the fun of using a well-known song in a trailer, is like you tease it and you're like, oh, what is this? I think I know it. And then when that one moment, whether it's the hook or a lyric drops in, you're like, oh, I see what I love that moment. So remixes, covers, and original tracks. You guys work with, you've done sessions here. You've done remote sessions during the pandemic. You guys work with, rappers and vocalists and whatnot. Do you guys have any sort of different creative approach? I'm guessing you do, but like, if you could talk a little bit about the differences between when you're going to a session with an artist, let's say it's a sync session, versus me emailing you and saying, I'd love for you to remix Ante Up or something like that.
Yeah.
What's your process? How's it differ?
I think we figured out that we like to go into sessions with like a track or a couple tracks, like just to show the artist we're working with at the start of the session something we think could work for the project. So we don't go in like starting from scratch and like plunking away at a keyboard.
which we've done many
Countless
times.
Yeah. So we just kind of fell into doing demos beforehand and like coming up with ideas because we're usually on the same page as far as like what we're going to be making with the artist. So it makes sense to just get a head start.
A song that ends up in a trailer, the hook is so important, and the first line of the first verse is so important too, to kind of like set the tone of the song, but also have an imagery or an action that is broad and common, that plays into a lot of actions that you see on screen a lot. What about writing a sync track is maybe the most challenging thing for you guys, as opposed to just, we're just gonna do a radio song?
I mean, the hook is always the hook's obviously. I mean, that's in most songs, but the hook is especially for a sync track because that's
A lot of pressure.
yeah, that's what you're gonna hear for most of it. They might not even use the verse or maybe like a word or two, but for a sync track, it's like the hook has to be. I think it has to be obviously really great and catchy, but it can't be too narrow. It has to be able to relate to multiple different things. Can't just be like, cool, this is for a phone,
Yeah.
Like it has to be like kind of broad, but also you don't want it to sound like it was written for sync because that's the worst.
That is the worst.
That is like the worst thing ever. Like it's got to like feel natural and
Finding that balance is really hard.
it's difficult.
Yeah.
It is.
And finding like sync music always has like something that's just really ear catching. I feel like about it, there has to be like that signature thing in it versus just writing a pop song. Like the vocal can be the signature, but I feel like in sync there's like usually an instrument or a sound that's kind of like, oh, I really want to put this in my imagery because I like how that makes me feel. So
Signature sounds, big
Yep.
big in trailers and marketing. Now I want to talk about the EP that is hitting your guys' inboxes either today or maybe tomorrow, depending on when this video comes out. It's a hip-hop compilation EP that we put together, and it is called Leave It Up to Me, which also happens to be the track name of your guys' contribution to the EP that you recorded with Bryant Taylor. Talk to me about that song and the making of, because I really like it. I like the lyric. I like the beat. You guys really, I think, nailed it. So what was that like coming up with that?
Yeah, Leave It Up to Me. Yeah, we worked with Bryant previously on Back in the Game.
Which from the Equalizer.
Equalizer. Yeah,
okay,
Equalizer
cool.
trailer. So that was really cool. Great dude to work with, like incredibly talented vocally. And yeah, it's a really cool track. It's got the sample vibe to it. And I think that's what made us want to like find a good rapper that could
put justice.
Put justice and he's really good at doing like a lot of different like cadence styles, which is important because that track kind of has so many different change ups.
Yeah,
You
and he
know?
sings too. So
And he sings,
it works.
which is like, definitely a plus,
Yeah.
especially when you're working with a rapper. So you can really get, you get a lot out of like one song. It's not just like the whole time. You can kind of mix it up. And
There's a good lyric that he came up with
the
too.
lyric alone is
All you gotta do is leave it up to me.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
I think it's really cool, and it can be used for so many different things, and I think that was kind of the goal there.
I'm excited about the track. I'm excited about the EP. I'm excited for all of you to check it out. And I think that's a wrap. I appreciate, again, you guys coming in. This has been a little inside silo with OH1. Thank you all for checking us out and listening to our music. We appreciate each and every one of you. And thanks to you guys. And we'll see you next time. Take care.